Good morning and happy Thursday. I'm here with another tech tip, and today I want to talk to you about Google Chat. I was talking to some people, and they were talking about being really annoyed at Google Chat, which was interesting to me because I kind of love my Google Chat. It makes me feel less alone in the classroom. So it really is useful to me, but I want to talk about how to make it the best app it can be and the least amount of disturbance, right? So, one of my tips first off is I hate the way Google Chats open in the email and then you can't read your emails and see what's going on with your emails because you'll have like 10 chats down here. And if you open an email, you can't read it, right? So, one of the things that I like to do is just open a new chat window. And you get to this chat window by going to your nine dots and choosing chat as its own app. So we have an icon for chat. It's its own app, right? I put it in a separate tab. I actually put it over on my other screen and have it hanging out all day just on the side while I'm working with students and while I'm working on other stuff, I can see it. I also have it on my phone, which is definitely a nice thing. So I have that. I also have some advice about other features, right? So I have lots and lots of chats that I'm part of, and I think a lot of you may too. One of the things is I teach my students, it's one of the first things that I teach them is how to send me a chat. So all of my students are in here as chat messages along with lots of people in lots of different roles because I do this, right? So one thing that I would say is you do have the ability to come over here and you can do things to your chats. So, for example, you'll notice here that I have the FD staff chat pinned. That is the one that I always have there so that I can access it. That's one that I want to have access to. So, let's say I want to pin Tom Hood. That's my husband, so I might want to have him pinned. So I'm going to pick on him since he'll never see this video. So now he'll always be up top. And I have a chat with Amy Kenyon because I have a chat with myself because I send myself stuff all the time, right? So now Tom Hood is pinned. I can also change the way I see notifications and mute this. So if there's a conversation that you're a part of, but you really only want to check it once a day, you don't want to see every time, you can mute it. And you can also go to notifications, okay? So you can turn notifications off, and then you're not going to get notified every time there's a message in that chat, right? You're not even going to get it marked that a message was said in that chat unless you're mentioned, okay? The only time you get the notification then is if you're mentioned. If you don't want any chats, even if you're or any notifications at all, you can mute this conversation, okay? It will move down to the on red, and I'll show you how that looks. So I'm going to cancel this because I don't want to turn notifications off on my husband. That's probably a bad idea. So down here on my group chats, I joined the science group when I was doing some technology stuff with them at training, but I don't really need notifications every time something happens in the science chat. So I have turned notifications off for that. So my notifications are muted. I didn't leave because I might someday need to chat or might have something to share with the science group. I tend to pop in and share stuff with different groups. So I kept it there, but I don't have it so that I get alerts for it, right? Okay. So these are things you can do. Now, I want to talk about within the chat, what are the things you can do to manage it and make it easier? Okay. So one of my tips is if you're sending a message to someone, so let's say I want to know from Amy Kenyon uh, whether or not she has a certain student in her room, I can send that message directly to Amy Kenyon. And that way, that mention makes my chat notify them even if they haven't muted. So that is important. And if you do the at all, everyone in the chat, now it's not going to work in this because it's not a space, but everyone in this space will get a notification whether they have it muted or not, because that's saying, hey, this is for your attention. Other things like, hey, there's donuts in the break room. Maybe you don't need that to be an at all, although to me that's a high priority. Uh, you do not have to at all, right? Not everything is high priority. I also want to talk about using chat with some best practices, okay? And these are things that we've developed over time, and I have to give credit where credit is due. One of my favorite best practices comes to me from Ms. Sledge, our ever super AD here at Frederick Douglass, and that is she is very consistent in the chat about using certain icons to mark certain things that she says all the time in the chat. when we have new students, when we have withdrawals. She marks them very consistently with certain things. So this is her withdrawal alert. She has speaking heads, the dash, the withdrawal alert. So I know when this comes up, it's a withdrawal immediately. Very graphical. I don't have to read the text, right? And that's really nice for when you're in class. So that is awesome. And I highly encourage you to get some phrases and some icons that are agreed upon for certain things that happen all the time in the chat. Okay. And I think one of the more common things is someone going somewhere, right? So, for example, I'm sending Frederick Douglass to English. I might post that in the chat like this. One thing that we have agreed upon, and it saves time, is you don't have to think about how to answer that. When that kid gets there, you just thumbs up, and we know that kid got to that room. Super easy. Don't have to type, Fred got here, Fred arrived, Fred on the way. You just thumbs up, right? So now we're taking it from maybe several messages to one. Hopefully it's not the message of, hey, where is Fred, right? One thing I would say is talk about these as a staff and figure out what codes you're going to use. But if you are consistent with your responses and you use them consistently, it will save you time in your chat. Anyway, I hope this is some time saving for you. And I know a lot of you have a lot of messages going on in your chat, so I hope this helps. Have a great week.